Okay, Scott, some big news with Stripe. Always some scary news. I heard the word content creator get floated around, and some content creators online, on Twitter, on Facebook are kind of freaking out. We have a personal relationship with Stripe at SamCart. Let's get into it.
The interwebs is on fire, right? Stripe comes out, they add something to their terms and conditions, which they do all the time, constantly adding businesses they don't care about or whatever, things you shouldn't do. And the real question is Stripe banning content creators? So let's go right to the heart. Let's show first exactly what they actually went and did. Here's a screenshot. There's two screenshots, two brand new additions. Stripe has two things in their terms and conditions. They have Stripe's prohibited businesses list, which means under no circumstances we don't do it, right? And they have a restricted list, which is to say we do it, but it's sort of like, we're watching kind of stuff. Here's the prohibited item, and they put content creation right on there. So anyway, let's read it though, because that's scary. Let's read it. It says transactions that provide compensation to creators without an underlying piece of digital content associated. Examples include subscriptions to free public content or a tip button on a profile page. And that's exactly what it sounds like. We'll break this down a little bit more in a little bit. But and Jordan, think about it. This is not like I'm selling a course, I'm selling a service, I'm selling, a download or something like that. This is like a tip jar. This is, hey, if you like my stuff, pay me for it. But it's kind of amorphous as to what am I getting for the money that I've gotten there, right? It's just kind of just pay me for something you already got.
Yeah, support the channel, make a donation, tip jar. Yeah, I guess not a one-to-one transaction, or I paid $10, right, and on the other side I got this MP3 file or this MP4, video file.
Exactly.
It's not exactly clear. Okay.
100%. And it should be said that over the years, right? Again, this is what we do here at SamCart. This is my profession, is payments and creator payments and all that kind of stuff, right? Is that Stripe has consistently cracked down more and more on bad subscription models, right? Subscription model. We'll talk about chargebacks and how do what are disputes and how many is too many disputes. We'll talk about that in a second. But subscriptions are people who get in trouble for disputes or whatever. Subscriptions is almost always the case. And this is they're cracking down on bad subscriptions. This is a bad subscription model. Someone starts paying a channel, they pay them a couple bucks a month, even if it's small, right? But 6 months in, maybe the content creator moved on with their life and hasn't done anything. So what happens is you have pissed off customers. So that's why this is here. That's why this is, is on the list. Here's the restricted business side, right? Which maybe is a little bit more scary for people who don't really know what's going on. But again, restricted businesses does not mean you can't run on Stripe. It means we're watching, right? That kind of thing. Under the content creation thing, it's in the green box. It says content creation related transactions, content related tips and gifts, which is exactly what we talked about before. And Jordan, you even said it off air. Money laundering is a problem. These are ways for illegal people to do illegal things, not illegal people, for people who like doing illegal transactions to money launder, to do these kind of things, is through these kind of mechanisms. So Stripe is basically cracking down and saying, hey, we don't like them. The second one, purchases of access to exclusive content or digital goods. That is ridiculously vague. So vague, so incredibly, incredibly vague that I understand why this scares people. We had Stripes, a bunch of, one of their head product people, we had some leadership to whatever, in our offices here in Austin, 2 or 3 weeks ago, right after our last board meeting. And basically all they're asking us is, how do we get a bigger piece of the pie for the creator digital space industry, right? They understand fully that as SamCart, the GMV on SamCart, how much our customers process continues to grow and grow and grow. They want more of it. They want to eat more of it from the other integrations we have, from PayPal, from Braintree, from, Easy Pay, right? Whatever. There's all these other ways to process payments. And Stripe says, I want more from creators. I understand why they put this here. It's vague. It gives them an out if they encounter something they don't like. But ultimately, listen, we put $5 billion through SamCart and, the majority of that going through Stripe at this point. And now, of course, SamPay, our kind of partnership with Stripe. It just doesn't scare me. We'll follow us for more. We'll post more. We've got Stripe reps. We're talking to them about this kind of stuff. But again, none of this scares me. This is, again, a very consistent Stripe cracking down on people doing dumb, bad things on the internet.
Yeah, because you read that last bullet there, access to exclusive content. That is a course. That is masterminds, coaching. So you're saying, or your theory is that they're just putting it on there as an out, that Stripe reserves the option to, cancel this.
It gives them an out. That's really all it is.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, this is what I think Stripe is after here. I think Stripe is after tip jars, which most creators, that's not what you're doing. I think they're after the Patreon offer, right? Is support the channel, become an insider, right? We'll give you exclusive stuff. We'll give you podcasts, whatever. But then what happens, right? How many creators do you follow, Jordan, that like a year later, they're gone? Like,
Yes.
that's how it goes. And you've got people left paying some subscription fee that all of a sudden someone's just moved on. They stopped delivering for it, right? It's kind of amorphous about that. They don't like OnlyFans. You know what I mean? They don't want people doing private versions of OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
We should clarify on this slide. It's like, we're not saying that Stripe is banning OnlyFans and Patreon and tip jars. We're saying that anyone who wants to make their own version of it, of like, hey, I got a Stripe checkout.
If you're doing this type of an offer,
I'm gonna do it on my own website. I got some Stripe code, and I'm just gonna kind of make my own version of a Patreon page.
yeah, it's support the channel type stuff. And then I put a big asterisk on the last one, but pre-selling might be the only thing here that for our audience, digital product creators, people selling courses, coaches, services, physical goods, even whatever. But pre-selling something, I'm not saying it's out of bounds. I'm not saying Stripe's going to shut you down for it. That's not what I'm saying. But I would start sleeping with one eye open if like your business is like very heavy into pre-selling, right? But ultimately, like this is all this means. It's not huge. It's not some massive game change. Anyone who is, again, I professionally do this, so I understand. Like anyone who follows what Stripe has been doing over the last 10 years, right? And we've been very, very close, great partnership with Stripe for years now at this point.
Okay, so they don't hate content creators per se. What you've made a kind of a list, Scott. Like, what are the funny businesses or like the illegal businesses that Stripe actually hates?
Here's the list of things that's on, and you can go read it anytime. It's on Stripe's prohibited list. It's actually pretty freaking funny, especially when people are like, oh, I'm a course creator. Like, does Stripe hate me? Listen to this list and tell me if you think Stripe hates content creators, right? They hate anything with drugs. So you can't sell drug paraphernalia. You can't sell anything like that. ICOs, initial coin offerings, can't do that. Anything about fake IDs, cell phone jammers, discriminatory businesses that discriminate against people, prostitution and escorts, mail order brides is on there like distinctly, like it's in writing. Timeshares, MLMs, guns, swords, and katanas are both on there by name, which I thought was awesome. Debt relief, gambling, government services, predatory lending practices, anything with THC and cannabis is off the list right now. Like those, they don't like illegal businesses. You know what I mean? They don't care about your course creation. You know what I mean? Like they don't care about your service. Like they're not here hunting content creators. They're here to make sure that people who process payments on Stripe have a good experience, and businesses that lend themselves to bad experiences, like the stuff we listed on the last slide. Like that's the kind of stuff they're saying, all right, cool. We're moving away from that. You know what I mean? But listen, you delivering your course and your service, Stripe doesn't care. Keep your dispute rate low. That's all that matters.
I think services, aren't they kind of restricted a little bit on Stripe?
Not really. I mean, again, like they have lists of things, but
because like a service is like sometimes vague or like
financial product services, like things around, again, it's like lending and bank accounts and like this section right here is such a great thing from Stripe's thing. Businesses that are prone to abuse by fraudulent actors. That's what Stripe cares about. They don't care about you trying to serve your customers. They care about people who are like using content creation, tip jars, whatever like that abuse and create pissed off customers. That's what they care about. And so, you've got crowdfunding on here. It's not illegal. It's not against any rules. It's not even against Stripe, but it's the kind of thing that people use and abuse, and they take a bunch of people's money and then they dip, and all those customers are left holding the bag and filing disputes.
Yeah. So now that we kind of covered all this, covered our bases, what actually gets people shut down in Stripe's eyes?
Yeah. Listen, no one really knows. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I always see in like Facebook groups and Slack channel, whatever, people just guessing at what happens. And it's just like, so Stripe came out with another ban and shut down another million accounts. 0% true. Absolutely 0% true. Literally, the only type of thing that's going to get people shut down is your dispute rate, right? Your chargeback rate, same word. But basically, Stripe cares that your customers are happy with their purchase. A dispute means they're not happy with their purchase, right? And so if you keep your transaction, keep your dispute rate, your chargeback rate under 1%, right? You're fine, right? The only problem with that, and the clarification a lot of people need, is that it's not 1% of your customers that you need to keep happy. It's 1% of your charges. So we talked about it before, Jordan, we talked about the subscription thing, right? If I have a year-long subscription, I have 12 payments, but then I get pissed because the creator just dipped me and I didn't realize it for months. I go back and charge those back. That's 12 disputes, not one dispute from one customer, right? And so keep your dispute rate under 1%. Stripe has no reason to come knocking at your door, right? It does not matter. There is a laundry list of type of business and stuff that they actually hate and are actually coming after. If you're serving your customers, you're not doing anything illegal, and your chargeback rate is under 1%, I have never, ever seen Stripe come knocking at someone's door that met that description.
All right, let's cover what is a hold on a Stripe account. What does that mean?
Yeah, so a hold, like if you start creeping up or you spend like a month or two above 1%, it's not like Stripe. I have never seen Stripe come in without multiple warnings, without placing holds on people's accounts and stuff like that. It's a warning, like you're being put in detention before you get expelled, right? A hold is basically going to say if you process $100,000 in a month, right? Stripe might start hanging on to 10 or 20,000 of that, right? And they might say, I'm holding this money because your chargeback rate's really high, right? We're holding on to it for maybe like 60 extra days before we release it to your account, as basically them being Stripe hedging against your chargeback problems, right? So it's kind of like we're not just going to give you the money and let you walk away. If you turn into or keep being a problem, like this money will be ours, right? So holds are usually 5, 10, 20%. You've got PayPal does holds that are like 50% of people's sales. Like Stripe's holds are usually pretty minimum. And it's kind of a warning sign of get your chargeback rate down or else, you could be kicked off.
The last and probably biggest question is, what can a creator do to stay protected? And should they solely sell on Stripe? Should their entire business be on Stripe?
Totally. I mean, to stay protected, it is always be ready and prepared for what's next, right? If you are, number one, keep your dispute rate low, right? Deliver things to your customers. If you have problems, you have customers that do file disputes, reach out to them and work it out with them. Get them to revoke the dispute, right? Like get them to take it back. Give refunds, whatever. Keep your customers happy. The dispute rate is far and away the number one thing that you can do to keep that going on. But listen, it's also the same reason why like staying protected means having backup plans. It's the same reason why at SamCart, SamPay is our preferred processor for all of our customers. And it is a partnership with Stripe. It's us building on top of Stripe and giving more, cool features to creators and stuff like that. But, we also have a ton of people that process with Braintree, that process with PayPal, that process with Easy Pay Direct, at different points, Authorize.net, NMI. Like we have other payment processors that if you were to have a problem, you can swap in a different one, right? And like having backup plans, having that kind of stuff is super, super important. So like, listen, go get a merchant account. Like go get a merchant account through Authorize, through Easy Pay Direct, through, whatever, and be ready so that should the worst happen, at least you've got something you can hot swap it in. If you've got a tool like SamCart, obviously it makes it really easy to just kind of swap in a different payment processor and you get to keep moving forward without, going days or weeks or months trying to get that stuff figured out.